time, Nancy, so people can get a visual of you. And our practice guides today will be Jan Surrey and Suvi Laukkanen. So a few words about each of our guides today. Jan Surrey, as many of you already know her, she wears many hats in this community. She has been a member of the Teachers Council for many years, serves on various subgroups that support the mission of the teaching community. She serves as a psychotherapist, an author, program developer, and mentor to many in this community. And Jan, we come to know what the words "nothing left out" actually mean through you, through the example that you live. So thank you for embodying inclusivity in all that you do. Jan makes her home in the Northeast of the US and offers practice in English. Suvi, I was just telling Suvi, I remember how many years ago it was that I first met Suvi at a retreat in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in the US at one of the first whole life community retreats. Suvi is obviously then a longtime practitioner and a recognized teacher in our community. She serves as a medical doctor turned psychotherapist and brings keen insights and a gentle transmission of the Dhamma. These are indeed gifts, Suvi, that you bring to this community and beyond. Suvi makes her home in Finland and offers practice in both Finnish and English. So deep bow to you both for your generosity and saying yes to guiding us in practice today. Thank you.
Suvi, would you like me to begin? Okay. Just thank you so much, Anita and Nancy. Hello, friends. So good to see you all. This is the end of I think, our 5th year of Sunday Sangha. It was inspired by the pandemic. So one of the good things that came out of it. And thanks for the intro, Anita. Suvi and I have had quite a wonderful time working together. I think one of the great joys of this community is building Dharma friendships. And one of the ways, certainly, our practice opens us deeply to the possibility of Dhamma friendship, but so does co-offering together. It's quite a journey of sharing, expanding view, studying Dhamma, practicing contemplations together. So just deep bow to Suvi for this beautiful. And I haven't seen Suvi since 2016 when we went for a walk in the woods. And yet we've stayed very connected, just made possible by this community, and really appreciate her at times, especially in these times in the US, having connection outside the US. So thank you, Suvi.
Thank you, Jan, and thank you, Anita and Nancy, for all your work and kind words too. I hope you are all hearing me well. It has been a real source of joy for me also, planning this session with Jan, doing it with her, and of course also finding an inspiring plan, which is actually inseparable for working with Jan, I think. I think there's some metta has deepened in me during our work together also, which I believe is easy for all of you to understand who know her. I have a fond memory of Jan that I would like to share with you. There are many occasions, but this stands in my heart. She had been teaching in the Gaia house, and I was a participant, and we were sitting on a bench in the hallway in Gaia House. I still remember the exact place where we sat. And it was not a practice, it was what I considered an informal chat or small talk or something like that. And Jan asked me something about my life or my practice. And there was such a flow from her heart of kindness and warmth that flowed into my heart and opened a space between us. And I realized that she really cares what I reply. It matters to her. And it's such a precious memory that I still cherish it in my heart. Thank you, Jan, for that and for many other things. I'm deeply grateful also for your profound and what I call uninterrupted, embodied wisdom and relationality that has so beautifully complemented Gregory's work. And his teaching is so a deep bow for you. Where are you? There. Okay. I found you. Good. I could share the plan for today's practice if there is nothing else that needs to be said before that.
Suvi, excuse me, I just wanted to make sure I forgot to mention in the opening welcome that there will be people in the main room at all times. And if anyone needs any assistance at all, you can direct chat Nancy, or you can come back to the breakout rooms, come back to the main room if it's during breakout practice. Thank you.
Very good. So we will have a short guided meditation first, then Jan will offer a talk, and we will have two contemplations. First of them is in a bit unusual format, and the second will be a diet contemplation in breakout rooms. And then there will be a harvesting in the main room and a met. And I could start with a guided meditation. Do we need the recording on for that? Or is it on already? Good, thank you. So we can all check our posture. Oh, yes. Pausing. Perhaps closing your eyes. And pausing into here and now, together. Perhaps noticing that how even with eyes closed, you may somehow remain aware of others being with you in this practice. Resting in the pause. Knowing the body sitting. Sensing the support of your seat. Feet perhaps resting on the floor. And that may be known. Somewhere below there is the earth holding you and all of us. Wherever we are. The earth that has all through our lives nourished our bodies, which contain earth elements also. Breathing is happening. The rib cage and abdomen are moving with each in-breath and out-breath. Air flowing in and out. Exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide with the environment, a sign of life. This is how it feels now. You may notice if there is any tension, pain or discomfort in the body. Perhaps checking the shoulders, the jaw, the sensitive areas around your eyes. Remembering the guideline, relax. Is more ease available? Letting go of tension as possible now. Receiving and allowing any discomfort that cannot be released. Relax. Allow and accept both in the body and in the heart-mind. Hearing is happening. Letting your awareness open to receive sounds from any direction, from any distance. Perhaps sounds by nature like birds, or sounds by human beings like traffic noises, or something else. And there is a human voice, open to sounds of life as they now manifest around you. Listening deeply. And then slowly opening your eyes, looking at your environment, noticing the space between pieces of furniture or other objects around you. Thus opening your awareness to awareness of air, awareness of space. And I invite you now to gently move your gaze towards the screen in front of you. Human faces, seeing and being seen. Opening to the relational moment. What arises in the heart area? Recognizing any sense of warmth, metta, mudita, discomfort, uncertainty, or something else. Receiving whatever arises. Receiving whatever passes. with kindness of acceptance. It's like this now. Kindness is available even when there is tension or aversion. This is the natural goodness of your heart. Perhaps it is possible to receive kindness in the eyes of others also. Letting your body-mind rest and pause in the goodness of your heart and in the goodness of all these hearts.
Suvi. Oh, dear friends, I would like to begin this short talk with a very personal story. The winter before last, I was suffering from a very bad fracture of a bone in my foot, which made walking outside very difficult. And it was a cold, dark, icy January in the Northeast US. Probably colder and darker in Finland, right, Suvi? I became quite drawn to an amaryllis plant on my kitchen counter that I had received as a Christmas present. And I watched this huge bulb grow bright green, healthy, moist stems, shooting strongly upright towards the light. Have you ever seen amaryllis stems? They're so bold and strong. First one stem on one side and then a second on the other side. And then suddenly a third one came up in the middle, and it shot up out of nowhere and took over, got taller than the others, and was the first to bloom. Beautiful red amaryllis plant, flowers. I was fascinated and curious about how this, I call plant being, quote, made the decision to have this third stem flower first. One of the great things about dialoguing with the natural world, which is what this is about, is how it really challenges our human constructions. So that was one. How did you make this decision? I actually felt sorry for the first two stems who had to hold back patiently and wait to bloom while the others bloomed. Third one bloomed. My interest and curiosity led me to a natural pause, a stopping to come into deeper presence, to engage more deeply in the relational moment, and to engage the senses in observing, seeing, listening, smelling, touching, in don't know mind, not knowing how to ask, how to listen, how to be in dialogue. My ID practice began to establish itself on its own, and all the guidelines were present. Pause, relax, receive, open, attune, listen deeply, speak the truth. This relational dialogue grew into a more intentional practice of Dharma contemplation through the time of the plants growing, blooming, fading, leafing, and then returning the bulb to rest in the dark until the next season. I asked questions, sometimes out loud, sometimes non-verbally, and listened deeply for any responses, not knowing where the wisdom was arising when I received a response, not knowing, not discounting, and not necessarily believing I was really hearing this. The voice of another and wise attention. I say briefly two of the Dharma teachings I received. When I asked, how do you make decisions? The plant seemed to offer me the teaching. Movement happens for the good of the whole, not for individual separate parts. In alignment and attunement with all conditions, internal, external, known, and unknown. When I asked what it was like not to be able to move around freely, the plant being seemed amused at my limited human view. She offered, I thought it was a she somehow. She offered the simple truth that movement was actually happening at all levels, even at a cellular level, growing, reaching, exchanging, interrelating of all parts of the plant. And with the external condition, the air, the temperature, the light, and perhaps even the human relational climate, the mind states of the humans we shared the environment with. And then she turned around and asked me, what's it like not to be rooted, to wander and search for home, for reconnection with the earth? This was a lesson in humility and a really of human conceit of how I was seeing from a human perspective. At times, I felt a growing sense of metta and friendship for this plant, and something grow between us. I actually felt a kinship, a Dharma friendship. We all know the natural metta that arises in our human dialogue so often. And I felt this was also true in other than human practice. I share all this today because we are going to take a leap together toward expanding our relational practice to other than human beings. I think here of the Metta Sutta, actually, which I have here somewhere, and the words of the Metta Sutta. Wishing in gladness and in safety, may all beings be at ease. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none. The great or the mighty, medium, short or small, the seen or the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be at ease. So I feel like that's an instruction to practice metta and maybe dialogue with all beings. Perhaps you've had the experience at an Insight Dialogue retreat when you're practicing in the hall, Insight Dialogue, and then when Gregory asked you to go out and just be in the natural world, how their guidelines, the meditation is still working and opens us up to a sense of deep relatedness, of metta, in the natural world, an experience of no separation. I think of the story of how and when the Buddha actually taught the Metta Sutta. It is said that a number of monks who were retreating in the Rains retreat in a newly inhabited grove for their Rains retreat. And this was the first time this grove had been full of monks meditating. And actually, the tree spirits in this grove were upset and worried about these alien creatures and whether they were safe. They harassed them with loud noises, bad smells, just a very unkind. And it was so bad that the monks traveled all the way back to the Buddha and complained that their meditation was being very disturbed. And this was how the Buddha taught them this Karaniya Metta Sutta. The monks returned to practice metta, and as they did so, supposedly, the tree spirits became calm and free from fear. They became great friends of the monks, doing many things, acts of friendship in ways they could support the monks' meditation practice. So we are going to offer you some time, briefly now, to practice with an other than human being. We will have 15 minutes for the practice. So maybe for some of you, a first taste of a practice. It may feel awkward at first, but inviting you to try and to just allow oneself to be in don't know mind. See what happens. Just engage creative practice, hoping that it will take on in some way for your ongoing whole life practice. So we'll be inviting you to find a meditation partner, a being of the natural world. It could be, if you have time in 15 minutes to go outside, there may be a special tree or flower or something that calls to you, and set up in some way to sit or stand at eye level as best you can with that being. We'll give you instructions for the practice in a minute. You might just stay in your room and look out the window. I have a deep relationship with this tree that I see out my window, and just spend some time in pause with the tree. Or it might be a so-called pet, an animal being in your house. So could be the sky, some way that you're connected directly with a being of the natural world. And find a way to set up your practice to engage for about 15 minutes. I'm going to give the instructions first. They'll be in the chat. Obviously, you'll be on your own to time. You can all see in the chat. The first step, to find a partner, to pause, introduce yourself, however that is. Ask permission to draw near and engage in dialogue. This is indigenous practice, I think, is partly what we do non-verbally when we engage in a breakout room. Offer an intention of non-harming. Again, I think that's part of our insight dialogue practice. This can be verbal or non-verbal, but offering this deep intention of non-harming. The second step will be to engage the guidelines. And you can see what comes alive for you, which ones come alive, but pause, speak the truth, listen deeply will be particularly important. And invite you to decide if you're going to be the first speaker or you're going to be the first listener. And if you are the first speaker, you might speak very briefly, something like, I'm here, I'm listening, I am accepting my limitations as a human and attempting this interspecies dialogue. Whatever is true for you, you might speak. If there's something deeply questioning that you'd like to ask, feel free to do that. But keep resting on the guidelines. So after you speak briefly, listen deeply, opening your heart in silence. What does arise, if anything? If not, enjoy the practice of being with. Allow any mindful exchange and open dialogue. So there'll be brief speaker, listener, and open dialogue. And the fourth step, in the last moment, again, as you recognize, expressing any appreciation to your partner, however you're moved to do so, perhaps a bow. Allow, savor any naturally arising metta that's flowing within or between hearts. It might be karuna, mudita, upekkha, noticing the Brahma Viharas if they are present. So we're going to give you an example that Suvi's going to offer from her practice. Thanks, Suvi.
Thank you. I had heard about Jan's amaryllis, so I wanted to try with a plant. And I moved an aloe plant to my bedroom and sat with it. Pause, relax, open. The plant was on the same level with me. I had my eyes open. At first, it seemed a bit awkward or empty. There was some kindness towards the plant, but it was just one way. Then this question came to me: if you would communicate with me, how would you do it? So I was asking this of the aloe plant, and there was a burst of energy in my mind with the thought, oh, lots of ways. With my greenness, with my juiciness, the direction of my leaves, their changing forms and growth, my scent, the way I create new leaves. Oh, yes. Of course. Thank you for sharing all that richness. Now I understand you better. And then I continued breathing with the plant, and it was breathing with me. And the sense of separation vanished, and there was just two forms of life. Breathe.
Thank you, Suvi. So inviting you all to be your own timekeeper. Again, you're very familiar with the first step, finding a partner, setting your chairs up, introducing yourself, holding the intention of non-harming. Deciding who's the first speaker and who's the listener, letting your speaking be minimal, perhaps, privileging the being to speak and you to listen. And finally, ending the last moment with any appreciation and noticing any metta that has arisen. Again, there's no right way. Some are more verbal than others. Some people might be in total silence, and all that is fine. Just inviting you to find your way into dialogue, engaging the guidelines, engaging human humility, and trying to listen to another language. And return to the main room in 15 minutes. So that will be 2:20. Yes? Or 20 after whatever your hour is. So enjoy your practice. We'll see you back here at 20 minutes after. Are there any questions? Are there a million questions, but are there? Gregory Kramer raised his hand. No, didn't. Okay. Hi, Greg. Okay, we'll see you back here at 20 past. Enjoy your practice. I guess I don't want to speak much, but we're 10 minutes behind. So
Yes,
we'll try
yes.
to keep things a little shorter so we make sure we have time.
So, welcome back, friends. This may not have been easy, so it's good to be humble and compassionate. This is a new experience. Soon Nancy will be inviting you to a breakout room with a partner. What a relief to have a human partner with a shared language. There will be a separate speaker and listener first, so after greeting each other, you may decide who will speak first. You will have about 4 minutes each, and I will send a voice message when it's time to change the roles. And your contemplation will be, what is it like to be in dialogue with other than human being? What is resonating for you now about your experience? What can be noticed about listening and speaking the truth when you cannot rely on human language? And if this dialogue felt confusing or empty of connection for you, how was that experience? Just speaking the truth of the moment, whatever arose, the guidelines will support you.
I'm a little concerned. Some folks might, with the people who aren't here, some folks might need to wait for a minute for their breakout partner to come back. I hope that you can be patient with that.
Sure.
Thank you.
Am I not in a breakout room? Okay.
There's somebody, did people come back? I mean, you had to put them randomly, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so I see Deborah Ennis doesn't have her camera on yet.
Yeah.
And Mark.
So, welcome back. Here we are again, a group of members of the human species with a shared intention. Now we have time for harvesting together. What did you discover? What seems now beneficial to share? Allowing the flow of Dana and Dhamma friendship, sharing the gift of human voices and words, hearing and receiving. Pause, relax, and open. Listen deeply, speak the truth. You can just unmute yourself and speak when you feel ready.
Maybe it's not located. So that was one of my really important learnings in all this. So we need to move on to the, thank you all for your practice. We could hear from everybody. We will be closing. So Nancy, do you want to?
Yeah, thank you. I get to just spend 1 minute here to remind you that as with all the Insight Dialogue practices that our teachers offer, this is freely offered. And if we wish to join in the circle of giving and receiving, we can offer Dana for this series through the Insight Dialogue website. I'm going to put the link in the chat. You will find a fairly long drop-down list, and it's alphabetical. So Sunday Sangha is maybe 6 or so from the bottom of the list. And as Anita said, this is our last practice for this, the guidelines in the wisdom in the guidelines. And we will resume in September. And Anita and our team will send an email about that in the coming months. Thank you.
Thanks, Nancy. So for Suvi and I, we just grateful for all of you for exploring and hope this practice continues and lives on. Love to hear from anybody who didn't get to speak through the Insight Dialogue community. Hope to see you again in the fall. Just close with a Eco-Dharma refuge I'd like to share and a dedication. I take refuge in Gaia, in Earth. I take refuge in her teachings. I take refuge in the hoofed, winged, finned, pawed, clawed, footed, entwined life of this planet, in the leafing, blossoming, fruiting, and fading plants, in the stones and river, oceans and hillocks, mountains, air and light of earth, and in the cycles of sun and moon, I take refuge. We take refuge. May all places be held sacred. May all beings without exception be cherished. May we open to the beauty and wonder of the earth, our home, our shared home. May we open to the wounds, to forests, rivers, deserts, oceans, all creatures with clear eyes and compassionate, tender hearts. May we open to the suffering and the joys and the beauty of the natural world and offer our commitment of non-harming. May our practice be a benefit for all, and may there be peace. May there be peace. May there be peace. Thank you. Somebody ring the bell. Suvi,